Hello and welcome to Basics, Part 8. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, and it's my pleasure to be with you again here today for this live edition of Basics, Part 8. And I can't even begin to tell you how much fun it is to get on here and do this with you on a regular basis. It's very, very rewarding. It's very, very encouraging. And it just feels like we're really getting something done. We're really making changes. We are really moving into some new areas of power and helping bring many people into new areas of victory. I continue to work with people on a daily basis, and I got to tell you, it's just amazing working with you one-on-one, spending an hour together, taking you places and helping you do work yourself. And don't think that it's something that you have to, oh, well, I don't need it, I'm okay. Don't feel like you're less than if you reach out for some help. I was helping a person just the other day, and one thing led to another. Some things were said, and so come to find out that this person is an Emmy Award winner. This person is extremely powerful and successful, but yet this person is smart enough to also realize that it's okay to get some help and some tweaks along the way. And I tell you what, it's the smart person that realizes, hey, you know what? Let's get a little tweak here. Let's get a little fixed here or fixed there. Let's do something that can help us, because the people that are used to being extremely successful want to stay that way. And the people that aren't so extremely successful want to get there. So there's something to be had for everyone. We do the work on a donation basis. So don't feel like, oh, I'd be embarrassed. Don't feel like, oh, I don't want to do that, because, you're only hurting yourself. And really, as we've talked, you're hurting the rest of us as well, because we need you operating at peak efficiency. So if you want to get your life track checked out, let's do it. If you're having trouble with entities or attachments or anything like that, let's do it. We're here to help. And I thought I could only do 2 a day. Before I could only do a couple a day. Excuse me. But I'm finding my pace and I'm finding my power, and we're really rolling. We're having a great time, and I just encourage you not to let anything silly hold you back, because there's a lot of powerful people on this team, and I think that we're really getting closer and closer to our desires and abilities to grow a group. So anyway, let's get to the basics. And today we're talking about the basics, and I thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your continued involvement in these presentations. It's so much better with you here. And I don't know, my cat ran over here and jumped up. Maybe he got me with some cat allergens. I'm not sure what it was. But I'm excited. The future's looking even brighter. I'm saying, the future's so bright, I'm gonna have to start wearing shades on here like Jim Jones or something. It's just, it's fantastic. It's powerful. People from all over the world. Denmark, Australia, New Zealand. We even had people. I have a person buying books from North Korea. What? Middle East, everywhere. People working and growing, and it really is a worldwide movement. It's amazing, and I'm very, very happy and excited about it. So let's go ahead and get to the basics for today. And this is going to be a powerful one. It's going to be a paradigm blasting one. So I hope that you've got your objectivity dialed up, because we're going to go into some areas that many of you will be very surprised of. And here we are. We're coming out to you out of 1 John today. And I've got to tell you, having read the Bible as many times as I have, I've got to probably say that John has become my favorite writer. He was the last one to write. He has such a unique perspective that he wrote 60 years after all the other apostles, 40 years after false apostle Paul. And he really does encapsulate the entire teaching of the Christ, and encapsulates the entire experience of New Testament Christianity, New Testament Yeshua movement, New Testament Christ theology. Because remember, he was there at the beginning. He was arguably, with the possible exception of Mary Magdalene, the disciple that was closest to the Christ. And here he is, the very last apostle. And this is the final message of the last apostle. That's why the book is named that. And you can certainly continue to get the book. And I know my voice is a little beat up, but it'll make the adjustment. So let's just press on. And here's John writing again. John wrote what we call Big John, which is the Gospel of John. He wrote what we see. He wrote a lot of it. And these are the epistles of John, 1 John, 2 John, 3 John. He wrote a lot of these too, not all of them. There's additions. And then he also wrote Revelation. We'll get into that. So the truth we bring you, John says, was the original. And that shows you right there that there was another out there that wasn't original. And we'll get to that. And this is coming straight from King James right now, which we have heard with our own ears and seen with our own eyes. He's drawing a difference between what they saw and heard and what others did not see and hear. For we actually physically touched and embraced. Now, this is, I believe this is JDV. This is the original Greek translated into literal English. The truth we bring you is the original. We heard with our own ears. We saw with our own eyes. We actually physically touched and embraced the word of life. They had physical contact for a number of years with the living Christ. For he appeared to us physically, and we are testifying a firsthand experience of what was shown and taught to us. That which we ourselves have seen, heard, and handled, we report to you, that you might share in the reality of this revelation, and that your joy might be full and abundant. That's the Diamond New Testament rendering straight from the original Greek into plain English. And the Diamond New Testament is also available, right now, as all the books are, for $1.99 ebook, and I think $15 or so for the paperback. But look at this. The truth we bring you was the original. John is emphasizing that the gospel that was taught to him by the Christ and passed on by him and the apostles was the original article, the genuine article. That there were other gospels of that time, at least one other, and that they're less than the genuine. That's why he went out of his way to say, this truth that we're bringing to you was the original. This truth we're bringing to you was not the copy. And it's important that you see that and understand that, because it's very, very vital to getting the entirety of the teaching that the apostle's laying out for you. He's telling you, look, there were competing messages. And when you read the New Testament in the correct chronological order, it becomes very apparent that there were competing messages. But John's saying, given these competing messages that you now know about, because everyone knew about it, because he's writing, in AD 100-ish, he's saying, look, ours was the original. Ours was the first. We were teaching you what we saw with our own eyes. We touched him. We ate with him. We drank with him. We laughed with him. We cried with him. We spent 3 years with him. And the things that we're telling you, maybe just saying the things that I'm telling you, John would be saying, I was there. I've been there. I've done that. I see it. I saw it. I felt it. It's not anything woo-woo. It's not an astral experience. It's not a seeing some type of a spirit. No. The brother was there. I saw him, talked to him, looked him in the eye, heard his actual voice into my ears. So John is drawing a great correlation. And he's saying, listen, guys, you want to pay attention to what we're saying, what I'm saying, because it is straight from the mouth of the Christ. So it's really from his mouth to your ears. We saw it with our own eyes. We heard it with our own ears. We actually physically touched and embraced the word that was with the gods in the beginning, the Elohim. And as we've seen, this word of life was indisputably the Christ. And John says that the original gospel is the gospel of the people that did touch him and embrace him. He did appear to them physically. This is why I continue to believe, even in the absence of any empirical evidence that the Christ lived physically on earth, the profundity of these scriptures make me believe that he did, even though it doesn't really matter, because the message is what has survived. So we're getting a firsthand experience from John. And keep in mind, at the time of this writing, John is the last guy alive in the world that had this firsthand experience with the Christ. And John is showing us by implication that there's clearly an imposter on the loose. What John is saying is showing us, hey, there's an imposter. I want you to know there's an imposter. I'm writing to identify this imposter, and I'm writing so that you will not be taken in by this imposter. I'm writing that so you can weigh all of the information and decide which one that you want to believe. John's drawing a contrast between the apostolic teaching and the teaching of an emerging opponent. And this is, I'm going to share with you now, one of the more incredible scriptures in the New Testament, and one of the more incredible scriptures that John wrote. And this was the source of no little disagreement between a fellow, I think his name is John Lash Lamb, or John Lamb Lash, a great Gnostic teacher. Somebody told me he's kind of disappeared, but I shared this with him, and he wasn't any too pleased with me. And I expected, to be brother, but it wasn't that way. So John said, look, this is the message that we heard directly from him. And that should be a capital H. And declared directly to you. That God is light. And in him is not even a shadow of darkness. Any that say they have fellowship with God and yet walk in the ways of darkness are liars. And the truth is not in them. And we that walk in light do have fellowship with one another. This is the message we heard directly from the Christ and declared directly to you. Again, they physically actually saw him. But here's the important thing. Well, for this, it's the important thing. It's amazing. God is light. And in God, there's not even a shadow of darkness. And this, to me, it's amazing, because this is probably, the way I look at it in the original Greek, a rendering of the organic light. And the organic light was a Gnostic thought that God existed as a brilliant light, a brilliant white light that casts no shadows. That's the organic light. And if you look at the construction of this in the Greek, it says God is light and casts not even a hint of a shadow. So you've got the organic light being talked about by the Gnostics, some say usually after the New Testament period. And yet here's John using remarkably similar language. God is light, and there's not even a shadow of darkness having to do with God. So to me, it's very, very strong evidence of Gnostic thought either originating with John, or that John was at least privy to Gnostic thought. And here's my line of thinking on that. This teaching of the Gnostic organic light wasn't talked about publicly. Only an initiate would know it. So either John was an initiate, or I used to say the Christ was an initiate, but he was only there for 3 years. He wouldn't have been there long enough to be an initiate. So either the Christ knew it and told John about it, and of course, if the Christ was an Elohim, he would understand Gnostic thought, and that the Gnostics hit this one right if the Christ is talking about it to John. So it's either John was a Gnostic initiate, or the Christ told him about it, 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. But it's tremendous truth, and John is talking about a spiritual life and death scenario. He's talking about having fellowship with light or fellowship with darkness. And he really says that anyone that contradicts the teachings of the original apostles of the Christ is teaching something that is darkness. He's teaching something that is darkness. And when he says we have fellowship with one another, it's remarkable to me because I see it as a prophetic utterance. And let me share with you why. John, again, either being a Gnostic or understanding that he was talking about Gnostic thought, and we that walk in light have fellowship with one another. We that understand the organic light, we disciples of the Christ, and those that are of Gnostic thought, we have fellowship with one another. And John is obviously saying the disciples of the Christ and the disciples of Gnosticism don't have 100% agreement amongst themselves. But yet they're in agreement around this concept of the organic light and this concept of the light of the divine. And even in the midst of this warning about deception and error, here's a message of amazing beauty, profoundly deep, that even when we don't have 100%, God, the general appellation of deities or divinities, that was the word he used, masculine or feminine, God is a source of radiant light, and he or she casts no shadow. God exists as a source of brilliant radiating light, and in her is just as easily translated as he from the word. It's the same word. Could be he, could be she. So John very well could have been translated, the divine exists as a source of brilliant radiating light, and in her there is no shadow cast. And maybe that's a little clue for Gnostics, that it's not necessarily her, because the word in Greek could be either. And John said it this way because he was talking about the organic light of Mother Earth, and he was showing that the goddess Sophia, divine earth, organic light, was part of their own ways of thinking within the fellowship of the Christ. He's showing that, listen, man, even though we don't have 100% agreement between us, we can still agree on great truths and central truths, and we can allow ourselves diversity of understandings without, the old saying, they drew a circle that counted me out, I do a bigger circle that counted them in. I think John wants us to draw big circles. And I hate to reference other people, but Sitchin and Casey and there were giants upon the earth. Sitchin cites an ancient epic manuscript that shows us that the goddess Ninmah was intimately involved in the creation of mankind. Edgar Casey pointed out the presence of female deities in the creation of man in his readings, 364-7. And the work of those gentlemen echoes the revelation of male and female Elohim in Genesis and further establishes the universal nature of the concept of the divine and the sacred feminine. And we are at a place in our history now where we must begin to take in again the ideas, the thoughts of the sacred feminine, and we must welcome into our teaching and our movement female people that we're way out of balance, we're way out of whack towards the male. But there's more. We have to reach down within ourselves and access the divine feminine nature that's even within us. So it's time to recognize our feminine nature within each of us, and it's time to recognize, welcome, celebrate, promote, and encourage, I believe, the contribution of females to the ongoing work of spiritual ascension, spiritual development. And I'm trying to do all I can to find females that are ready, willing, and able, that want to talk and discuss and bring their thoughts. I mean, we've had Laurie Hill on. We have Tamu and Gina coming on. I've tried to convince Lisa Renee to come on, but she's having, some issues where she feels it's best for her to remain sequestered. I respect that. Continue to send her my very best intention and thoughts, and I hope you will too. And there's other ladies that I want to bring on, not just because they're ladies, not just because of their sex, but because of the feminine energy that they can bring that we're lacking as a movement and as a whole. And I hope to be able to do so, more so, in the future. Plus, it certainly improves the aesthetics of our NCK Christian Whistleblower Jeff Daugherty Show channel when we can bring on attractive female folks and not always, somebody said, why is it always a sausage parade? Kind of a crude analogy, but I understand the frustration. And we need to be part of the answer. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So I believe there's good reason John included these things in his final message. And what he's doing really is expounding on what the Christ said. And you hear this quoted, Jesus said, I'm the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life. Nobody comes to the Father but by me. Boom, boom, boom. Not at all what he said. What he said was, I am the way. And the word is actually, here's the word number in the Strongs. It means ways. So the Christ says, I'm bringing the ways. I'm bringing the truth. No, he's bringing the teachings. I'm bringing the ways, and I'm bringing the teachings that lead to absolute fullness of life, both essential and ethical, which belong to the divine. And no one can arrive at the ancestors, the fathers, the parents, except by following or applying these ways. What Christ was saying really, literally was, these ways and these teachings, the diversity, I didn't really even translate this very well. The diversity of these ways, the diversity of these teachings. I brought you the best of all the ways. I brought you the best of all the teachings. And they will lead you to absolute fullness of life, understanding, embracing, welcoming. Diversity of teachings will bring you to absolute fullness of life. Essential and ethical essence of the divine. And I've translated this bad. It doesn't really mean no one can arrive at the divine ancestors, the fathers, the parents, except by following my ways. It has more the sense of, this is the easiest way. This is the simplest way. This is the best way. It's like a map. Like I'm going to Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, the end of September to speak at a conference, the Scarefest conference. It's the largest horror movie / paranormal exhibition east of the Mississippi. And, they have, Freddy Krueger is going to be there and a lot of things like that. And then they have weirdos like me talking. I'll be talking about Confessions of an Exorcist. And I can go several ways to Lexington. In fact, I could go all the way to LA and then come all the way back to Louisville, not Lexington. So there's a lot of ways to get to a place. But the Christ is saying, hey, I have put together the best of the ways, the best of the teachings that will lead you in the most expeditious fashion to absolute fullness, life and life more abundant. The essentials, the nuts and bolts, the ethics, the ways of the divine. And you can go other ways, but I'm showing you, folks, this is the most expeditious. The old saying, the shortest point, but shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. This is the straight line, not in an absolutist, you got to do it fashion, but in a, hey, I'm trying to help a brother out. I'm trying to help a sister out. Here's the easy way. That's what he meant when he said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. He wasn't trying to make a new religion. He was trying to show you that, hey, y'all got enough religion going on. He really was. He was trying to say, listen, y'all got plenty of religion going on. Let me give you the best of what's out there so you can make it in the shortest, most expeditious time. His way is the best of all ways. His truth is a synthesis of all the highest truths. And Lisa Renee's site is called Energetic Synthesis. So that's part of it. Energetic synthesis. I guess if you were to call our work something, it would be, I don't know, some type, synthesis of doctrinal synthesis, I guess. I don't know. Because, we're coming from, Blavatsky, Manly P. Hall, Nag Hammadi, Tibetan Book of the Dead. I ordered something today called the American Book of the Dead, which I think is a translation of Tibetan Book of Dead into American lingo. So we're reaching out to all these different ways. And they're ways that, and it's not just something I'm pell-mell pulling, oh, this sounds good, that catches my attention. I've been doing this 36 years now. And I've seen in the over 100,000 hours, and yes, it really is over 100,000 hours, I've seen things, oh, I understand that as Tibetan. It's in the teachings of the Christ. Oh, I understand that as Taoist, but it's in the teachings of the Christ. Oh, I understand that as Native American, but it's in the teachings of the Christ. Oh, that's like Asatru or Celtic or Nordic, but it's in the teachings of the Christ. So, commercial, when you get your blink functioning 100% accurately, and you get all of the gaps out of your analytical mind, your blink works and says, oh, boom, here's some stuff. Oh, boom, there's some stuff. And I'm able to help synthesize it. Lisa Renee's energetically synthesizing, and we're doctrinally synthesizing. So it's the synthesis of all the highest truths, which lead to life and life more abundantly. And I believe that's what the Christ came here to do. And in this, I do see biblical confirmation of it. He's come to combine into one workable system the very best and highest teachings and practices of all the ways of spirituality in all of human history, and maybe even beyond. Maybe he's throwing in some stuff from other places. Maybe he's throwing in some stuff from other times. Now, I don't get all alien-esque like Lisa Renee does. My mind just, I can't conceive of, all of that. That's why she does what she does and I do what I do. But it's in my blink, man. Not only is he giving you the best of everything on earth and the best of everything human, he's bringing us some stuff that's, wow, beyond. What's the little Toy Story guy say? To infinity and beyond? I'm just saying. That's what I hear. That's what I hear. An immense amount of gematria is used in John's writing, even some Pythagorean thought, sacred writings, things that are considered occultic. So John wasn't afraid to go outside of the traditional to bring truth, because the Christ wasn't slow or worried to go outside the traditional to bring great and lasting truths at all. Let's take a quick look back at some of this text. I want to bring something else up for you. And again, this is Final Message of the Last Apostle that we're looking at. I don't want to get into that. That's kind of deep, but listen to this. The thief comes only to steal, only to kill, and only to destroy. The Christ said that he has come to give us life and life more abundantly. The first half of the verse is an amazing prophecy. And this is John 10:10. Think of the gematria of that. It's a double perfect. 10:10. But the thief comes to steal, to kill, to destroy. And this is what I'm trying to do. This is really the bedrock of my work, is to keep you from being stole from, to keep you from being killed, and to keep you from being destroyed. And not just bodily, but to keep your destiny from being destroyed, to keep your spirit from being destroyed, to keep your hopes from being destroyed, to keep your dreams from being destroyed. And that's part of this one-on-one thing. You look at people, you go through simple procedures, and you see, they're telling you about something and they're crying and it's painful. And then we go through this and then they're laughing. It's restoring to you things that have been stolen from you. It's bringing back life to you places that have been killed. And it's reclaiming for you things that have been destroyed. And of course, if we look at it prophetically in the book, he's talking about the first Antichrist, which was Paul the Apostle. He's talking about the first rise of the great end time delusion. And then the second half of that verse, and the second part of my work, is to show you how to have life, and life more abundantly. And I want to share this with you. Whoops. Why did I just turned on my Skype for some unknown reason? Let me turn that off. Let me share this with you. And this is a nice little thing to end up on, and we'll go to the questions right after this. Lynn Christie Sparrow, she wrote Beyond Soul Growth, and she was writing in the Edgar Cayce magazine. And I don't know if I'm super huge Edgar Cayce, but he's got some interesting stuff. And that magazine, they started sending it to me. I think they were sending it to my son, and I read it and I pick some good stuff up out of it. So I keep reading it. And she says this, and I found it rather profound. This is the January through March 2015 issue of Venture Inward, which I believe is the official magazine of the Edward Cayce Foundation, Association for Research and Enlightenment, ARE. And she says, there's two major contrasting stories that frame the meaning of our existence. One is the story of something gone terribly wrong at the beginning of mankind's arrival. And I would add, one is the story of something gone terribly wrong at the beginning of the New Testament revelation. And then the subsequent reflecting attempts to restore that which has been spoiled. Now, we do talk about from the beginning of time, but I would say, I guess the narrow focus of what we're talking about, and most of what I work, is that something went terribly wrong at the beginning of the New Testament era. Something went terribly wrong at the beginning of the work of Christ on earth. We're identifying that. And we're attempting to restore that which has been spoiled. A thief came to steal, to kill, and to destroy. We want you to know who the thief is. We want you to know what he's trying to steal. We want you to know how he's trying to kill. We want you to know what he's trying to destroy. And by we, I mean me and the 6,200 of y'all that are here helping. And we want you to know that the Christ did come to give us life, and life more abundantly. So it's not just what went wrong. We're not just on here chicken littling. The sky is falling. Oh my God, there's all this horrible stuff, which there's too much of that on YouTube. So we're identifying the rat bastardly thievery, the rat bastardly stealing, the rat bastardly destruction. We're identifying that. But we're also saying, that's the bad news. Here's the good news. Here's how we fix it. Through the ways and the truths that the Christ came and gave us, this incredible message that gives us the shortest distance between two points is a straight line. You ready for a little profound exit to this part of our talk? Think about a cross. And I obviously don't have a cross. I'd be in trouble if a vampire showed up, wouldn't I? So let's do a makeshift thing. What's a cross, right? It's an upright, and it's a thing that goes across, right? And that's a symbol of Pauline Christianity. Well, what the Christ was trying to show us, and what he came to show us was, this is from Walt Disney World. That's interesting. He came to show us the straightest distance between 2 points. Us, him, boop, straight up. And then along comes Paul, Nero, and all those rat bastards. And what they do, they put in a cross beam, which blocks our progress, blocks the straight line, blocks the shortest distance. The power of Christ compels you. Excuse my silliness, but that's pretty profound. So let's take a look in the chat room. See what's happening in the chat room. Basics 8, live with questions and answers. Here we go. Boy, a lot of good comments today. Well, howdy, Chris Monet. Just to let you know, it's not coming through right for me. Sorry, bro. It sounds like you got some issues with your connectivity, but good, it worked for him. Do you use TOR? IDK. What TOR is? Oh, you're talking about the browser? I have before. Jerry Browning obviously heard the earlier thing about don't say blessings, because he comes on and says pissings, everyone. Oh, that's so funny. And we got somebody from Hack Nation asking questions, but anyway, nice shirt. I don't know if you're saying that to me or not, but thank you. I want to see what Rooney looks like sometime. Well, just a second. Come here, mister. Here he is, the elusive Rooney Tooney. This is the baby kitten right here. This is Rooney. He is a, what is he? He's a special kind of Siamese. I can't remember the name of him right now. But yeah, he's a good boy. And he's probably not real happy of being on the show, but all right, you can go back. So there's Rooney. Balinese. He's a Balinese. So there you go. There's Rooney. So I want to see what Rooney looks like. There you go. John's the only non-synoptic writer. Come on, Hack Nation. You are a hack. That's not true. He's very accurate. What's your opinion on modern day Islam? Dude, it's an Abrahamic religion. They do believe in the same God. The God of Islam, the God of Judaism, the God of Christianity, all the same dude, just different names, same game. My mom watches you every day. Oh, well, I'm so glad. I really am. I don't care what. I don't know why. Is he even doing a Q&A? Yeah. Or is he just reading a PowerPoint? It's not a PowerPoint. It's a Word version of one of my books, bro. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it. He'll go all the way to the top, so no need to re-ask anything. Okay, is it against the Bible to be a homosexual? No. Get me a shout out. Siya Akinbinu. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it right. Like Chris said, Hack Nation, you'll get your chance. Thank you, Super Niz Sky Stalker. Tamu Ngina. She's looking forward to coming on. And are you saying you have more men than women subscribers? That's interesting you asked that, Rocker Chick, because the last time I checked, I had about 53% men, 47% women, which is awesome. most of the time, I mean, it's been most of the time like 70-30, but now 53 men, 47 women. Dr. Ill is in the hizal. Great. Men were created as slaves, and they copy the creation, making us girls slaves. Yeah, I agree. Looks like things are getting interesting. Stacy Henderson, it should be Friday morning live session. Yes, Tamu, it will be. God is both male and female. That's what the scriptures say. Can't get the whole truth without the collaboration of this diverse and beautiful universe. I agree. Hello, Mustafa. Jeff, you're dominating YouTube for me today. Can't stop watching. Excellent. That's my evil plan. Jeff, you're talking some deep stuff that we could talk about forever. Thank Christ and Sophia. I found you all. I'm usually going mad in my own mind with all this. Hey, I'm glad that we can be crazy together. Gnosis is older than Gnosticism. Christ is older than Christianity. Very nice. It's a spiritual science, not a belief. Timeshare. That's I think that's a Rex Bear reference. Buzz Lightyear, that's his name. Religo, to rebind. So religion, religion, rebinding. That's exactly what it is. Thank you. Very good. I'm trying to figure out the difference between Joshua and Jesus. Well, to use your terms, Mustafa, Yahshua would be, in your terms, the Christ, the one that really did come that we were talking about. Jesus is a fake figure that did not ever exist, was created as a straw man to combat the teachings of Yeshua. And he's a paper cutout that the Lord is going to try to leverage the positive nature of in his second coming. And that's all in this book, by the way, on my channel. Anyone else notice that the more you wake up, the more you really don't know who the people around you are anymore? They start to feel like strangers. Yep. Knowledge can be agony, but it's kind of sweet agony. What's the Shakespearean phrase? Parting is such sweet sorrow. Growing can be such sweet sorrow. Mustafa, brother, I hear exactly what you're saying. I mean, I've had to force myself to go outside this place because I get so locked in writing, producing these videos, not very well, but doing my best. And I find myself completely withdrawn from social interaction. And I have to try to get that going. So for me, it's almost self-imposed. But I know what you're talking about. You mentioned the rat bastard gave us chakras. I have been working with folks, Rocker Chick, to actually close their chakras, because I believe the rat bastard is the one that created the chakras. And it is my current understanding that it's best to shut them down so that he and his minions have less access to them, because it's in my opinion, it's no coincidence that he created as many rat bastards as there are chakras. Hey, chick. Everyone is so dull and has no personality. What? Thanks for introducing Rooney. I love Rooney. Typically, I do the shows right off the top of my head, Rocker Chick. I probably shouldn't tell you that. Some of them I do preparation, but typically I do them off the... And I've been preparing for 36 years. I mean, 100,000 hours. It kind of rolls over, you know? And again, commercial. You get your blink, your analytical mind completely dialed in. And remember, it's the comforter. I have direct access to the divine database of everything that the divine has. And bloop. I mean, I know Lisa Renee talks about, and I've mentioned her a bunch of times, but it's, just fits in. She talks about getting downloads from whoever she gets downloads from, but I have the connection through the comforter to the divine database, and we can all get that. And mine is just dialed up. So I wonder if Lisa and Renee are talking about the same thing, just different terminologies, right? Potato, potato. Jeff is addictive. I'm not sure. I guess that's good, right? Now, if I could just transfer that addictiveness into actual social, personal interactions. But man, if I had a love interest in my life, I don't think I could support it. I really don't. I mean, I would be there interacting with a person. I'd be thinking, man, I should be making a video right now. You know, I really should be writing a book, and that wouldn't be fair to a person. Oh, good for you, adopting a new kitten. I got one for you, Jeff. Which God was in the craft that landed on Mount Sinai to meet Moses? I was either the rat bastard or one of his representatives. Sounds more like people are confused about their sexuality. I agree 100%. Do you believe in the collective power of thought? Maybe we could try it on your channel one time when you have a lot of people in the chat. We could all maybe move something. That seems like a parlor trick to me. Maybe we could focus on something more like helping Jerry feel better, but I'd be open to that type of an experimentation. Think of a woman being a man inside out and a man being the same thing. That sounds a little creepy to me. Do you believe in the Nibiru situation? I don't know what I think about Nibiru. I really don't. I think that Sitchin uncovered a lot of interesting stuff in the text, but I don't know if I believe in the whole Planet X Nibiru stuff. That smacks a little bit too much of fear to me. Crosses attract devil spirits, and such symbols represent negativity, suffering, death. Why do you think, Adriana, that the Catholic Church wants you using them and hanging them on your wall? If you got crucifixes hanging on your walls, crosses hanging on your walls, get rid of those things. What are you thinking? What are you drinking? Because Adriana Deborah Albright Coer is right. You know your stuff. Thanks. I appreciate that, Rocker Chick. I mean, if you've been doing something for 36 years, you ought to know it. The divine comforter is the vertical lens of grace. The Christ said, listen, I'll give you the comforter and he'll teach you everything that the Father knows. All I know is it's a direct download, direct access. I guess I'm hardwired. I'm Ethernet connected to the divine database. Thanks a million, dear Jeffrey, to put your time in life to enlighten people like me. I wish you more sweet agony and happiness. Same to you, brother. And this is it for me, man. This is what I do. This is what I love to do more than anything else. That's why I do it 19 hours a day and would do it 23 if I could, but I'm afraid I'll get sick or something. Tamu and Gina, you just have to have the right woman on a similar path who's just as passionate in spiritual work as Jeffrey and is a brick house. Oh, you didn't say is a brick house. You said is a powerhouse. All right, I kind of fudged on that one. I'm joking. So it's like what I thought. Joe, good, Mustafa. We're on the same. If I'm on the same page with you, I'm feeling good because you sound like a sharp brother. Is this your calling? Oh yeah, this is my great basic purpose, Rocker Chick, without a doubt. This is what I was put here to do, and I spent 20 years doing it for the rat bastard, and I feel bad for that every day. I need to stop feeling bad for it, but I do feel bad for it, and maybe that's why I'm doing this 19 hours a day, because some part of me is still trying to do what's that stuff that the Catholics do when they go in, they're told 50 Hail Marys and give this much money. What's that called? Penance. Maybe part of me is still trying to do penance, but I do love it. There's nothing else I'd rather do. Those were some great questions. That was some great chat room stuff. Repent, penance. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else with any quick questions before we bail out of here? If you were Christ coming back, seeing yourself everywhere in the weakest point, well, he might be more pissed than the woman who has fury like hell. Yeah, I gotcha. Wonder what his real name was. No Middle East dude named John. Well, it was Johanan. Maybe you had to do it for the rat bastard first so you fully understood the corruption. Yeah, absolutely. What is your thought on CERN? Scott, I don't really know much about CERN. I don't worry that much about CERN because there's not much I can do about CERN. So I just don't know too much about CERN, and I just don't feel compelled to really dig into it. There's a lot of people talking about CERN. I'm really about the only guy talking about what I talk about. So I just try to do what I do, and somebody else can worry about CERN. I'm not saying be ambivalent about CERN. I'm not saying it's not worth consideration. I'm just saying it's not my deal right now. Now, next week, I might be all over CERN. But right now, I'm kind of meh on CERN. Meh. Just the way it is. So anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and conclude this right now. And are you a fan of Nikola Tesla? Oh, absolutely. I'm a fan of Tesla. Tesla was the man. So the Christian whistleblower and Rooney Tooney, we are out for now. And we will see you later. I'm not sure if Rooney will see you later, but I'll definitely see you later. And thanks for unwinding your mind. Thanks for unindoctrinating yourself. And bye-bye. We'll see you again real soon. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. Take care.